Have you ever picked up an old penny, looked at it for just a second, and then tossed it aside, thinking, it's just a penny, what could it possibly be worth? What if I told you that tiny copper coin in your hand might actually be worth hundreds, thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars? Because today, we're diving into the world of wheat pennies, the classic American coins minted from 1909 to 1958. Coins that most people don't even pay attention to, yet collectors across the United States are paying record-breaking prices for the rare ones. And here's the craziest part. Millions of these rare pennies still exist in pocket change, in old piggy banks, in coffee cans, and tucked away inside jars in people's homes, waiting to be discovered. This video could literally change the way you look at every penny you've ever touched, because today, we're revealing the top 5 ultra-rare, extremely valuable wheat pennies in today's market. And trust me, if you find even one of the coins in this countdown, you might be sitting on a fortune. But before we begin our list, we need to understand one thing. Why do collectors pay so much for these small copper coins? The answer is a mix of history, scarcity, and survival. Many wheat pennies were minted during world-changing moments, world wars, the Great Depression, and America's transition into the modern era. Some coins were produced in very small numbers. Some suffered from minting issues. Others simply didn't survive the passage of time. And now, more than a century later, collectors compete fiercely to get the few examples that remain. That competition creates massive value. Even a coin that originally cost 1 cent can now sell for more than a luxury car or a down payment on a house. So grab your coin jar, take a deep breath, and get ready, because what you're about to learn might just turn you into the next person who finds a treasure hiding in plain sight. Welcome to Top 5 Ultra Rare or Most Valuable Wheat Pennies. You might be sitting on a fortune. Let's begin. At number 5 on our list, we begin with one of the most iconic, most misunderstood, and most counterfeited wheat pennies ever created. The 191 for D Lincoln Wheat Cent. If you've been collecting coins for even a short time, you've probably heard about this one. And if you're brand new, don't worry. By the end of this segment, you'll know exactly why this coin is worth thousands today, and what makes it one of the most sought-after wheat pennies of all time. Let's go back more than a century to the year 1914. America was changing fast. Factories were booming, automobiles were still new to the world, and the outbreak of World War I had just begun in Europe. The United States was entering a new era, and with it came the production of millions of Lincoln cents. Now, during this time, pennies were made at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But here's where the magic starts. The Denver Mint, in 1914, produced only 1.1 million wheat pennies. For reference, that same year, Philadelphia minted almost 76 million. That means the Denver Mint produced only 1 coin for every 70 coins made in Philadelphia. This extremely low mintage is the key reason the 191 for D is such a monster in the coin world today. But there's more. Not only were very few made, most of them went straight into circulation and stayed there for decades, worn down, scratched, and tossed around in pockets and cash registers. The number of 191 for D pennies that survived in good condition is shockingly small. That's why collectors chase this coin so aggressively. Even a heavily worn, low-grade example can bring in $250 to $600. A mid-grade example with decent detail easily sells for $1,500 to $2,500, and a high-grade, well-preserved 1,914D can sell for $5,000 to $15,000 today. The finest known examples, the true gems, have sold for over $25,000 at major auctions. Now here's the twist. Because this coin is so valuable, it has also become one of the most counterfeited wheat pennies ever. Dishonest sellers often take a common 1914 Philadelphia penny and add a tiny fake D mint mark to the coin. At first glance, it looks real, but there are several ways to spot a fake. So let's walk through the authentication checklist collectors use. Number 1. The D mint mark should have a specific shape and tilt. The real mint mark is slightly slanted and has very specific serifs that are hard to forge. Number 2. The mint mark should be placed below the date in a very precise position. If it's too far left, too far right, too high, or too low, it's most likely fake. Number 3. A genuine 191 for D will show consistent wear across the entire coin. A fake will often have a clean date but a worn mint mark, or vice versa. Number 4. The reverse should show a level of detail consistent with 1910s Denver coins, not too strong, not too weak. If collectors see any red flags, they avoid the coin, because counterfeiters have been trying to fake this penny for over 70 years. But let's talk about the real reason this coin is so loved. It's not just the rarity, it's the way this coin represents America's past. A time when pennies were made of real copper. A time when every coin was struck by massive steel presses. And a time when these coins traveled across the country through shops, farms, factories, train stations, and early automobiles. Every 191 for D penny that survives today has lived a long, hard, and incredible life. And if one of them ends up in your hands, you're holding a piece of American history that could easily be worth thousands of dollars. And that is why the 191 for D Wheat Penny ranks at number 5 on our list of the most valuable ultra-rare wheat pennies in today's market. At number 4, we have one of the most mysterious, most demanded, and most exciting era coins in the entire Lincoln Cent series, the legendary 1920 to no D Wheat Penny. If you've ever heard collectors talk about holy grail pennies, this coin is always near the top of the list. Why? Because this is not a normal coin. It's a minting mistake, a historical accident, and a collector obsession. Let's rewind to the year 1922. The United States Mint was operating differently than usual, for reasons still debated today. The Philadelphia Mint did not produce any pennies in 1922. None. Zero. This meant just one mint was responsible for producing every single penny that year. The Denver Mint. So, every 1922 penny should have a D mint mark, but the Denver Mint was overwhelmed. Machines were running non-stop. Dies, the metal pieces that strike the coin design, were wearing out quickly. And in the middle of this minting chaos, the famous error was born. As the dies wore down, the mint mark on some pennies became faint, and then disappeared entirely. That's right, the coins were struck with dies so damaged and over-polished that the D mint mark vanished, leaving behind what looks like a Philadelphia penny, even though the Philadelphia Mint made none that year. This was not supposed to happen, but it did, and because of that mistake, a normal-looking penny from 1922 can now be worth thousands. Now, there are 3 main varieties of the 1920 to no D penny. 1. No D. Weak reverse. The mint mark disappears, but the reverse is weak and wore. Value: $250 to $1,000 depending on condition. 2. No D. Weak obverse, weak reverse. Both sides look soft or blurry from die wear. Value: $500 to $2,500. 3. No D. Strong reverse, the holy grail. This is the rarest form. No mint mark, a strong, crisp, sharply detailed reverse. A more defined portrait of Lincoln. This variety can easily sell for $5,000 to $10,000 in mid-grades, and $20,000 to $40,000 plus in high grades. This is the version collectors dream of finding. But here's what makes the 1920 to no D even more exciting. It doesn't look like a rare coin at first glance. Imagine this scenario. You're sifting through a box of old pennies from your grandfather. You see a worn 1920, a 1926, a 1938, and then suddenly you spot 1922. Most people would toss it aside as just another penny, but a collector would know to look closer, to check the mint mark area, to inspect the reverse, to verify the strength of the details. That tiny moment of curiosity could be the difference between finding a penny worth 1 cent and discovering a treasure worth $10,000 or more. That is the magic of the 1920 to no D Wheat Penny. But let's talk about the biggest issues surrounding this coin. Having no mint mark doesn't automatically mean your penny is the famous no D variety. Most 1922 pennies do have a D, but heavy wear can make the mint mark fade. So here's how collectors authenticate the real ones. Authentication checklist. 1. The date area. A real 1920 to no D variety will show strong, natural flow lines around the date. The area where the mint mark should be is smooth, not scratched, not polished, not tampered with. 2. The reverse. For the strong reverse variety, the wheat stalk should be sharp. The lettering 1 cent and United States of America should be bold. The coin should look like it was struck with a healthier reverse die. 3. Lincoln's bow tie and beard. On authentic examples, especially the strong reverse, the bow tie is sharp, the beard lines are visible, These tiny details matter. 4. The mint mark area. There should be no tool marks, no depressions, no signs of mint mark removal. Collectors know what natural die wear looks like, and when they see it, they pay big money. The 1920 to no D penny is more than just a coin. It's a symbol of how mistakes can become treasures, how something unintended can become one of the most valuable coins in American history. And that's why the 1920 to no D Wheat Penny sits at number 4 in our list of the rarest and most valuable wheat pennies in today's market. At number 3, we have a coin that changed American numismatics forever. A coin that sparked controversy, passion, anger, and eventually, legend. The 1909 VDB Wheat Penny. To understand why this little copper coin became one of the most iconic collectibles in U.S. history, we have to go back to the beginning. The year is 1909. President Theodore Roosevelt has just pushed for a complete redesign of American coinage. He believed U.S. coins should look bold, artistic, and worthy of a great nation. And so, a talented sculptor named Victor David Brenner was chosen to redesign the 1-cent coin. For the first time ever, Abraham Lincoln would appear on U.S. money. The design was beautiful. Collectors loved it. People were excited. But there was one detail that changed everything. At the bottom of the reverse, near the rim, Brenner's initials appeared in full. VDB. Those 3 letters started a firestorm. Some newspapers accused Brenner of seeking fame. Others claimed the initials were too large, too bold, even too braggy. The public debate grew louder and louder, until the U.S. Mint made a sudden decision: remove the initials immediately. Production stopped. New dies were ordered. The initials were taken off the coin forever. But in the short window before the recall, one mint, the San Francisco Mint, struck a small number of pennies with the initials still on them. The coin that would become the 1909 VDB. Only 484,000 were made. Less than 500,000. The lowest mintage of any Lincoln Wheat Penny ever released for circulation. And that is why collectors chase this coin like treasure hunters. This coin is history. This coin is controversy. This coin is art. This coin is America's first Lincoln cent in its original form. Today, the 1909 VDB is one of the most demanded U.S. coins on the market. Here's how valuable it is. Even in worn condition, $700 to $1,200. Mid-grade examples, $1,500 to $2,500. High grades, $5,000 to $10,000 plus. Top-graded pieces, $50,000 plus. Some collectors spend decades searching for the perfect one. But what makes it even more exciting is this: people still find these in old coin jars, handed-down collections, and inherited boxes from grandparents. You could easily overlook it. Most people do. Imagine holding a small roll of pennies from the 1950s. You open it, coins spill out. 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, and then suddenly, you see the date. 1909. Your heart stops. You flip the coin, and there it is, the tiny-ass mint mark. You look closer, and at the bottom edge, 3 tiny letters, VDB. Congratulations, you're holding one of the most iconic pennies in American history. It's a coin that tells a story of a nation changing its coinage, a designer leaving his mark, and a controversy that turned a penny into a legend. That is why the 1909 VDB sits proudly at number 3 on our list of the rarest and most valuable wheat pennies in today's market. At number 2, we have a coin that looks ordinary, but hides one of the lowest mintages in the entire Wheat Penny series, the 1931 Wheat Penny. Unlike most rare pennies, this coin wasn't created by a mint error, or controversy, or design change. Its rarity comes from something much larger: the Great Depression. The year is 1931. America is suffering through economic collapse. Factories are shutting down. People are losing homes. And businesses are closing their doors. No one is spending money, not even pennies. The U.S. Mint realized there was no need to produce large amounts of coins, so mintages dropped dramatically. The San Francisco Mint, which normally produced millions of pennies, struck only 866,000 coins. That is extremely low, the second lowest of the entire Lincoln Wheat series. But here's what makes the 1931 even more interesting. Many Americans believed the coin would become valuable in the future, so they saved it, not in circulation, but in drawers, envelopes, jars, and boxes. That means circulated examples are rare, But uncirculated examples, bright red gems, collectors go crazy for them. Here's how the coin is valued today. Circulated, $75 to $150. High circulated, $200 to $300. Uncirculated, $500 to $1,000 plus. Gem red, $3,000 to $10,000 plus. The coin is a time capsule, an actual piece of the Great Depression, preserved in copper. Imagine finding one in an old jar. The date looks normal, the coin looks ordinary, but then you flip it and see that tiny S. Suddenly, this simple penny becomes history in your hand. A survivor of one of the hardest times in American life. Collectors don't just want the 1931S for its rarity. They want it for its story. A story of survival. A story of hardship. A story that turned a penny into a collectible treasure. That is why the 1931S Wheat Penny sits proudly at number 2 in our list of the rarest and most valuable wheat pennies in today's market. At number 1, standing above every other wheat penny ever minted, we have the coin that almost should not exist. A coin created by accident, lost in circulation, whispered about for decades, and now worth more than many people's cars, homes, and savings combined. The legendary, the 1943 copper wheat penny. This coin is the king, the holy grail, the ultimate American penny. But before we understand why this 1-cent coin is worth hundreds of thousands, even over $1 million, we have to go back in time. The year is 1943. World War II is raging across Europe and the Pacific. Every resource matters. Every material is critical to the war effort. And copper, the metal used to make pennies, is suddenly needed for ammunition, wiring, and military equipment. So the United States Mint made a dramatic decision: stop making copper pennies. Instead, the mint switched to a new material, zinc-coated steel, shiny, silver-colored, magnetic pennies. Millions of them. Almost every penny made in 1943 was steel. Almost every penny, except a few. And these few became legends. Here's what happened. At the end of 1942, some copper plankets, the small metal discs used to make pennies, were still stuck inside the coin presses. So when production switched to steel in 1943, those leftover copper blanks accidentally got struck with the 1943 design. It wasn't intentional, it wasn't planned, it was a minting accident, and only about 15 to 20 real examples are believed to exist today. Think about that. Billions of pennies have been minted, but only around 20 of these were ever created. That is why the 1943 copper penny is considered one of the rarest US coins ever made. But here's where the story gets even more incredible. For decades, Americans heard rumors. A penny from 1943 made of copper is worth a fortune. Check your pocket change. You might be rich. Keep your pennies. One of them could change your life. Children searched, collectors searched, families saved jars of pennies. Most found nothing. But a few, a lucky few, found the real thing. In 1957, a 1943 copper penny was discovered in circulation. In 1967, another one sold at auction. Over the years, more surfaced, but each one was treated like a national treasure. Today, these coins are worth staggering amounts. Low grade, $150,000 to $250,000. Mid grade, $300,000 to $500,000. High grade, $1 million plus. One example, a near-perfect specimen, sold for $1.7 million. Yes, a penny, 1 cent, sold for nearly $2 million. But what makes this coin magical isn't just its value. It's the fact that anyone, literally anyone, could find it. Imagine the scene. You're sitting at a table, sorting through an old jar of pennies your grandparents left behind. They've been sitting in a dusty drawer for decades. You pour them out. 1958, 1963, 1774. And then, you see 1943. Your heart jumps. You pick it up. Your fingers are shaking. You feel the color. You see the copper glow. You grab a magnet. And it doesn't stick. In that moment, you're holding one of the rarest coins in American history. A life-changing discovery. A 6-figure, maybe 7-figure, treasure. And that is why collectors around the world dream about this coin. But there's something important you must know. Most 1943 copper pennies people find are fake. Millions of steel pennies have been coated to look copper. Some people even shaved down the 8 in 1948 to make it look like 1943. So here's how to authenticate the real thing. Authentication checklist very important. 1. The magnet test. Real 1943 copper pennies are not magnetic. Steel ones, even if copper-plated, will stick instantly. 2. Weight test. Real 1943 copper pennies weigh about 3.11 grams, not 2.7. 3. Professional grading. If you ever believe you found one, never clean it, never alter it. Immediately send it to PCGS or NGC, because if it's real, your life just changed. This coin is more than rare. It is a legend, a mystery, a historical accident worth a fortune, a treasure that could still be hiding in your house, your attic, your family coin jar. And that is why the 1943 copper Wheat Penny is ranked as the #1 most valuable Wheat Penny in today's market. The king of the series, the dream of collectors, the 1-cent miracle. Friends, these were the top 5 ultra-rare Wheat Pennies that can be worth tens of thousands of dollars in today's market. And who knows, maybe in your home, in a jar, a drawer, or an old box, there's a coin hiding that you don't even realize is valuable. Coins are not just metal. They are pieces of history, moments frozen in time, stories from generations before us. And if you're lucky, one single coin could completely change your life. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, comment, and tell me which coin amazed you the most. And don't forget to subscribe to Rare Coins Radar, where we show you how one tiny penny can become a life-changing fortune. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, happy collecting, and always keep checking your pocket change.